Hi there, I'm Melanie Carr, life coach, and I'm here in the beautiful virgin jungle of Mexico, Quintana Roo, in, Cancun basically, Puerto Morelos. And here I am with Horus and Doggo and Doguita, my cat and my two dogs. And here in the tree we have a monkey with us this morning. So if you hear any scandal of the dogs barking or anything in this podcast, they're just a little excited today because of our little friend that we have here visiting us in the tree here beside our home. And I've been reflecting about what is love in terms of the way our concept of love is developing as we're evolving more as a society, and cultures and humans are evolving quite quickly right now in this planet. And I think that we need to start to create a different concept of what love is and what the energy that we're experiencing, the connections we're experiencing. And at the same time, a lot of people are on the spiritual, so they're kind of thinking like, okay, so love is the expression of universal energy expressed through the heart center. And this is the connection that we have in our human animal body with the universe. And I've been reflecting about the chakra system and healing and human sexuality related to love, and what the purpose is of creating the connection between two people, and how love and sexuality and universal energy combine. Because we're not just talking about spirituality, we're talking about physical, earthy, human energy, which is the female energy. And we're talking about the universal God energy, universal universe energy, which is the male energy. And the combination between the two, and how a connection between two people is created in the mind, in the heart center, and in the body, because we have to take into consideration all three energy systems, not just the spiritual, not just the universal. We also need the earthy, dense sexual energy, and we need the heart center loving, the loving universal energy that we receive and share. And then we have to put it all together with our mind, because our mind is what directs this orchestra when we're having a connection with someone, or a sexual experience, or an erotic experience that might not even be physical. And I think we're getting a little off track with trying to make it spiritual and loving, or trying to make it sexual. I think people are kind of splitting apart the two things. It's either a really universal masculine energy, or it's really dense, earthy, physical female energy. And people are looking at it now in society and saying, okay, I feel horny, so I'm going to go and have a sexual experience with someone, but I'm just going to have sex. I'm not going to involve my heart or the universal energy. And then we're having other side of things where people are saying, well, I just want to have loving experience without the rest of it, and being the sexual part, because that's not a connection, that's just sexual energy. And I think we're missing the idea. And I think this comes a little bit, I'm seeing this very interesting concept I live in Mexico, so I see a different concept. And it's very interesting. I've talked to a lot of Mexican people about this. And this is where our belief systems, it just blows your mind when you can see how different cultures see things. Here, there's a very interesting idea. Well, I'm going to be really general, and I'm not talking about everyone, and I'm not generalizing. But there's a bit of an idea here where you look for a woman in your life, and she's going to be the woman you marry and have your children with. This is a little more Latin culture based. And then if you feel sexual things, then you kind of go outside the relationship for that in a way. Or a lot of people do look at other women, and it's more like, let's objectify those other women who are more like the slutty girl ones, or the girls that you see in the street with the tight pants or the short mini skirt. Well, those ones, you can look at them and objectify them and think about sex, But the woman that you're going to marry or have children with, she's going to be like, this princess, The problem is, a lot of guys just don't find that the woman they married here is the one that turns them on anymore, because they split apart the sexual female earthy energy from the spiritual energy. And we are animals, and our body is a vehicle for human procreation, animal procreation, and also it's a vehicle for spiritual growth and evolution. So I come from a culture where I grew up, and the idea was more, you find a woman who you feel great with in bed, and you make sure your sexual relationship is working before you get married, because I think maybe in Canada a little more, or in Europe, Canada, US, and we've become more aware of how unhappy people can be in a relationship where the sexual part of the relationship doesn't work. And yet it's so taboo here in the Latin countries or the religious cultures, where you would test that out first before you got married to someone. I would never get married to someone without testing out the erotic part of the relationship, because it's so essential for the life force energy and the life mission you have with the person, that part of things flows and works in the relationship. And I think we got to be really careful not to split this apart. There's a huge difference also. Like in Canada, it's so interesting culturally, because there's guys that will say to you, I just want to have sex with you for one night, and then the girl will be like, oh yeah, I'm into that, sure, no problem. Or she'll be like, no, I'm not, I'm looking for a serious relationship, and she doesn't get offended or anything. But here in Mexico, it'd be like, you'd get a slap in the face if you said that to a girl here. And yet there'll be situations where a guy will let you believe that they're interested in something more, and obviously you will maybe never hear from them again, right? So it's a very, very different cultural situation, and this is where I'm seeing the split between the sexuality and the spiritual love relationship. And I don't agree. It's all tied together. The energy has to start as an earthy, sexual, and female, creative, physical energy, and it has to be joined with the other person, and it has to go up the chakra system, through the creative center, through the heart center, the communication, through the fifth chakra, through the visualization, and right up through to the universe, right up through to the masculine energy, the spiritual energy. It's not the connection, the force of the energy of the connection has to go through the process of our physical body. If we're looking for just the spiritual, we're having as women, for example, I notice with myself, it's much more difficult to have an orgasm when you're just going for the spiritual connection and you don't add the more denser female energy, it has to be a connection. There has to be stimulation. There has to be some physical part of it. And then you join the rest. And when you get to the top, usually that's when you either have a physical or an energetic orgasm. And if you're able to do it together with someone, and both people are able to work through the physical, up through the heart, up through the mind, you use your mind to direct the energy. That is when you're having these situations where you both have an orgasm at the same time, and you're able to use your mind to create with it, and you're able to have other kinds of energetic orgasms, or the different practices that we have in tantric sex, or whatever you want to call it, erotic abundant sex. So this is the topic for today. What is love? What is sexuality? What is connection? And the connection has to have both energies. There has to be some dense physical things, and our erotic triggers that we have, they're just a catalyst. It's just the gasoline that you put into the car. It doesn't, you can put Magna or Premium, whatever you want. The car will still run. And I think sometimes we need to take some very dense sexual elements sometimes to get things going, because when you're having a really strong connection with someone, it's really easy to get turned on. But as time passes, I think couples have to, the love creates the connection and the sexual energy. But I think it's very valid for couples to use words or visualization or different elements in their relationship to get the energy started, especially when we're tired or we're overworked or we're stressed. There can be moments where you're going through something extremely stressful with your couple, and it's totally valid to have a quickie where you take a little more dense female sexual energy, earthy energy, and take the energy up through the chakra system in a fast way, and just blow out any stress and frustration and things together with a person in a loving way, and help your partner who's having a difficult moment to change their vibration in a moment, in a short moment of time. It's a tool, and it can be used in many different ways. It can be used to have a beautiful, slow, romantic experience as well. But there should be no taboo about using it in a sexual way with your couple, or using it in a more spiritual way with your couple, or joining the two energies together. And obviously, if someone has been really rooted in the really sexual or the really visual, they need to work more in their mind on the energy and the connection and seeing beauty and all the things. But in order for you to get to that place in the heart center with the connection in the mind and the spiritual energy, out through the universe, through the higher chakras, you need to get it started in the lower ones. And if a visualization of something that turns you on gets you excited and gets things started, there's nothing wrong with that. It's getting the energy flowing. And obviously you want to work on seeing and visualizing the person that you're with in a beautiful way. But we have to get over the taboo of sex being something dirty or bad or wrong, because right from that moment you've already cut half your energy off. So when you are with someone and you're making love and you're having a connection, and all of a sudden your mind wanders into something and you need to get that energy going, you can use an image that turns you on, one of your erotic triggers, to focus your mind, to focus your connection on the person. And your own personal sexual elements are totally valid in the connection with the other person. It's all the mind, and the mind can be triggered to focus in a second and then go back into the connection with the person. It's a tool. It's all a tool. They're all elements you can use. And I think the sexual elements also are valid. the more dense ones to start with, and then going up and changing the energy through the chakra system. Doggo, did you see the monkey again? Well, we got through most of the podcast. I just love making the podcast outside here in the jungle, and at first I used to worry about the noises or my little friends, my two little dogs and my cat making noises and distracting them. But I think I've pretty much given the idea, and I want the podcast to be natural, and it's very natural out here. You can hear the birds in the morning, and I can connect more with the universe and get the ideas out, because even for me the ideas are coming together, the concepts, and because you can look for this information, but there's not a lot out there that joins human sexuality with human spirituality, and this is where we have to start getting more information for people and thinking and talking and creating some conversations about this. So have a great day and think about it a little bit the next time you make a connection with someone, and see what happens when you go just the spiritual route, just the beautiful spiritual route in your mind, and you try to keep the energy really elevated, and see what happens when you start the connection with a more dense sexual, erotic, and then you switch it into the other energies. You go up through the chakra system and see what happens, and you'll feel way more energy, because you need to have the balance. There has to be balance of the masculine and the feminine energy. Have a great day.